Josh, tell me what you dislike.
I dislike Joe, I dislike YouTube, and I dislike mac and cheese in my toes.
I've got so many questions. I'm Joe.
I'm Josh.
You've got questions?
You're feeling grounded.
Welcome to Feeling Grounded with your hosts, Josh and Joe.
So what we want you all to do right now is subscribe to Feeling Grounded Podcast and like this video. Share this video also to any prospective person that you think might enjoy this content. Also, become a patron. On Patreon, Josh and I put exclusive content on there so that you guys can enjoy our reactions to certain things. We love to put that out there. Also, follow us at Feeling Grounded Podcast. At Feeling Grounded Podcast. That's at Feeling Grounded Podcast. Third time's a charm. That's going to be on Instagram. At Feeling Grounded Podcast. We want you guys to actually put comments and questions on here because that's how your voice gets heard.
Entertainment. Where's the entertainment, guys?
So right now we're going to be talking about YouTube's ridiculous creative decision. So we're covering this tone-deaf decision. So don't be fooled, people who are listening right now, by the words of YouTube's creative team. So Matt Koval, the creator liaison with YouTube, he announced removing the dislike count, not the dislike button, but the dislike count on all videos across its platform. He said that viewers click to, drive up the count like a game because they don't really necessarily like the creator or what they stand for. The like to dislike ratio.
Right.
On that video that we saw on there, that same one where he announced it, Matt Koval, it goes 12,000 likes. Get this, 85,000 dislikes as we stand right now. People have spoken. It was number 48 on trending, if not maybe so more. On the YouTube's creators page, YouTube is not doing this for small creators based on their tweet, based on their previous statements. It's to protect big companies. It's to protect politicians. It's protect people, make people's voices be silent. That's what's happening right here. And if you're shaking your head at this, people, or while you're listening to this or while you're hearing this, you're not paying attention.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because it's so obvious what they're doing. It's like such a shame that they're trying to form it and like mold it into this idea. It's like, oh, like we're just trying to protect the little guy. It's just like the small content creators. But meanwhile, like the majority of the dislikes are where? Like on the big corporations and on the politicians and on all this stuff. Like that's where you see all of these things happening. And so that's what they're trying to do, is they're trying to just silence people and to stop like voices of negativity, which just to deny or to have those who have a different opinion to be able to voice it. And
yeah, like you said before, big companies, politicians, and corporations, their voices have been based on this like to dislike ratio because a lot of them have been ratioed to hell. They're being rejected by the people. And you can't have democracy on YouTube. It's not a democracy anymore. And we've known this for years and years and years, in probably the last 5 years or so, more so in the last 2 years with their increasing episodes of putting down dissent. But like you said before about trying to protect small creators, look at us. And as you're listening to us, we are small creators. Nobody ever asked us about our mental health, because it's simply not an issue.
Right.
It's simply not an issue. Who did YouTube consult with this decision? And we all know the answer to that.
Politicians and the corporations.
Yeah, people who don't like us deserve to have a voice. If you don't like our content, because we actually got a comment on like Instagram or something like that, effing delete or something like that, and then I smirked at the guy. It was great. But that guy deserves to have a voice. If he doesn't like our stuff, if he thinks we're too cheesy, which we are, that's fine. If you dislike a video that we are talking about, this is happening because of these larger corporations, and there's no juggling around this.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just showing like that people don't have backbones, or like People can't take it, or like just trying to say like, oh, like you got to think of all these sad people that are all hurt and all miserable. Well, like that's not the reality. Like the reality of life is that some people are just not going to like the stuff that you're doing.
Yeah.
And so like the reason why it was there is to just so people could just show that. Like,
Yeah.
And
I'm
to
about
also
to
prove, you know, the issues and like bad content that was on there, like scams or spam or whatever it is, and like that's why that's there. It's just for people can go on a video and then see, oh, this video's not okay, so I just need to leave and go somewhere else.
Exactly.
And now that's gonna be gone.
Yeah. In addition to scams, I'm actually going to debunk everything from YouTube right now because I get uncomfortable with the hypocrisy of big corporations, and YouTube is one of them. It's basically our next mafia, in addition to the other ones that I had mentioned before. If creators can still see dislikes, which they can if they go onto YouTube Studio, it's not for their mental health. Because it's still available to them. Don't pretend, and don't be so arrogant. This is a message for YouTube. Don't be so arrogant that you guys can actually deceive us with this. It makes me angry about this because it's not for their mental health. Like they're saying, it's to project the image of corporations, media, and politicians who want to appear trusted. They want to appear well-liked. And the biggest example that we have of this, and, this isn't like a political video. Like, you see the inauguration video you saw back in January. And then you also have the numerous Fauci videos that seem to be ratioed to hell. That's coming from a guy who, got the vaccine. Both of us got the vaccine. Like, both of those things are ratioed to hell. And, you saw Fauci's Disney Plus trailer from National Geographic. That thing was ratioed to hell, too. Just look it up right now if you still can. If you still can. Let's pretend that YouTube actually cares, Unbelievable.
Yeah, good luck with that. I know it's just horrible. It really is horrible. We're just seeing all of these movements just to silence a certain group of people, and it's really getting horrible. It's getting disgusting. It's like really infringing on the reality of our freedom of speech, which is it's crazy. It's crazy. Like now I have no ability to like show the world that I dislike something, at least on this platform. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of crazy to think about, like how big of a change that this is. Mm-hmm. And then just like you were saying, like how obvious how it's truly not for people's mental health. Yep. Because they can still see it. It's still in their face if they look at the insights and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's just crazy. It's crazy. We're living in such a crazy time, Joe. Like this is such a crazy time where we're seeing power and censorship like unlike anything we've ever experienced in our lives, and it's crazy. It's very frustrating. It's very frustrating.
This is actually another announcement that we will have. YouTube, it seems to be like the only game in town right now, but I know that like in the not terribly distant future, hopefully that might not be the case anymore, because there are other alternative platforms that people can actually have free speech that YouTube will not be the only game in town, hopefully. Like Rumble, for example, or, you have Odyssey, for example, which are alternatives to these other social media platforms, which feel grounded. Like Josh and I have been talking about this briefly, but we'd like to be a part of, and, that might happen in the not too distant future, but keep staying in tune, because this is something that Josh and I do feel passionate about, not even from a political standpoint, because that's not what we're trying to go across here. We're just trying to keep people paying attention to certain human rights violations. Which this is.
The future is inevitable, but let's travel back in time.
November 17th, 2003, Arnold Schwarzenegger was elected the governor of California. Do you remember that, Josh?
I do, yeah.
So, do you know anything about his tenure?
Not so much, no.
Nor did I, because we were youngins. We were tiny tots at that point in time. But he was Republican. But
really,
yeah, he, I didn't expect that, just based on like, his thoughts and feelings about certain things, while he was in his tenure as well, because it was a weird Republican. He was acted more as like a centrist. So listing a couple of accomplishments, he improved roads and bridges, water systems, just general infrastructure. He also didn't support public pension systems. He called them unsustainable. A lot of protests over this with unions and interest groups, which I found interesting. He hired judges that were both Republicans and Democrats, all different races and genders, and people who only choose one party every time. That seems to be the standard nowadays. But you were right about climate change too. He supported that. But historians often cite that, the system itself wasn't working for Arnold because he had a pretty bad exit in 2011. And historians often cite, the system of California's government as what hurt him in the end because, in trying to get laws passed, he reached a couple impasses, which hurt. And plus also the 2008 crisis, financial crisis didn't help him.
November 17th, 1970, Douglas Engelbart received the patent for the first computer mouse. Okay, the very first computer mouse was created by this guy. So this guy was an American inventor who, like, his whole career and his whole life was about creating things for computers. Because he had like such a fascination with them. Yeah, so 1963 to 1964, he came up with this concept to create something that would make it easier to point and click on the displays of the computers. And so he made this thing out of wood. It had a wood case, and there was only one button on it, and it was just like a little red button in the corner of it. And it's like a square that's just made out of wood. It's like the bulkiest thing ever.
It's time for Happy Crappy.
How you doing, man?
I'm okay. This is you can only see half of my face right now because we're filming at nighttime. I'm feeling a little bit tired. This is not our usual time to converse.
Yeah, that's right. We're a little later today.
To shoot the stuff, as the kids these days say.
To shoot the stuff. It's been a week, right?
Well, it's been a week. My happy. I was off for Veterans Day from work, which was a total shock and awe. So I spent some time with family. Had to get a guitar fixed up, which cost me nothing because it was a cosmetic issue on their part. So it was pretty quick and easy. And then to end the day, I saw Rocky IV, the director's cut, in theaters.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
that was good.
It was a game changer.
Wow. Oh, that's great, man.
Yeah. How about you? How was your happy?
So my happy, Noom's going really well. My current weight is like the lowest that it's been in like 2 or 3 years, which is awesome. I saw Dune and loved that. It was great to like go back to the theaters again and to have that whole experience.
That was your first time? You haven't been in the theaters in like 2 years since the last time we went to see Rise of Soywalker.
That's right.
I went to go see Tenet like almost more than a year ago. But what was your crappy?
The kids were a little fussy today, which just kind of threw everything off. They were just a little crabby. And other than that, I mean, it just took a long time for people to fix our heat. So remember last week it continued the saga of us not having heat in the house. So I literally called like 7 or 8 people, and no one ever got back to me until one person finally did, and came at like 8 p.m. like 3 or 4 days ago, and fixed it for us. So the house is nice and warm, and we're good to go. They
didn't linger too long though. 8 p.m.
Yeah, it was a long time. It was late, and yeah, they were probably like an hour or so.
Okay, 8 to 9, but kind of messes up the kid's sleeping schedule if you're not careful.
Yeah. Eli like came downstairs and he was like Santa Claus was in the house. He got like so excited that there's like a guy working on the heat.
It's not even December yet, man. I know. He needs to learn his months.
Exactly.
My crappy it was the guitar fix up. There was basically a tuning issue essentially where everything else higher up on the higher frets was fine, but on the lower frets when I fretted like second fret downward, it was going completely out of tune, maybe like 20 cents higher, and I was like, I can't do this. They fixed a little bit of the neck issue, and so it's fine. However, coming out of the repair, which cost nothing, thank goodness, it was a small oversight on their part, so no payment, which is great. But I predict for the foreseeable future another repair, maybe replacing the bridge or replacing the tuners, because the tuning issue, it's not really too bad on the second fret anymore, second and first fret, but you just have to lightly put your hand down and you're fine. If you go harder than that, then you might have some issues a little bit, like 10 cents. Right. But that's kind of standard for Les Pauls from what I've been looking on the internet.
Mine too. When I had my Les Paul, that's kind of how I felt. The same thing. Like if you push really hard, it would kind of go out of tune, or even would like bottom out.
Yeah,
it wouldn't even play.
Yeah,
which is why I traded it. But
so what we want you all to do right now is subscribe to Feeling Grounded Podcast and like this video. Share this video also to any prospective person that you think might enjoy this content. Also, become a patron on Patreon. Josh and I put exclusive content on there so that you guys can enjoy our reactions to certain things. We love to put that out there. Also, follow us at Feeling Grounded Podcast. At Feeling Grounded Podcast. That's at Feeling Grounded Podcast. 3rd time's a charm. That's going to be on Instagram at Feeling Grounded Podcast. We want you guys to actually put comments and questions on here because that's how your voice gets heard. It will boost us in the algorithm, but if you happen to dislike us, that will also boost us in the algorithm. So, for a certain extent. You've got questions?
You're feeling grounded.